Hi, welcome to the Deep End. My name doesn't matter. Let's dive in. So, when we study the book of John, the Gospel of John in the New Testament, it's helpful to understand the flow of the narrative from the book of Ezekiel. I know that sounds a little crazy. The Old Testament prophetic book of Ezekiel is frequently used and referenced in the Gospel of John, in particular in the image of the shepherd who comes to rescue Israel from the false shepherds that stand in the way of the sheep. So Ezekiel starts with this warning that Jerusalem is going to be destroyed and everything in it is going to be destroyed. And in chapter 9, the Lord, 8 and 9, the Lord marks his people. And then in chapter 10, the glory of the Lord leaves the temple. What happens in the book of Ezekiel is God leaves the people of Israel kind of to their own devices. All throughout the book, you're waiting for him to return. It begins in chapter 33 when Ezekiel shows up as Israel's watchman and then calls to Israel, and then God delivers a prophecy against the shepherds of Israel. And really, nothing is incredibly happy except for this one thing that the Lord promises he's going to bring a covenant of peace. So if you go all the way to chapter 40, you see that the Lord is rebuilding a new temple. In 43, the glory of the Lord comes and fills the temple, and he returns to the temple itself. Now, to be fair, you could argue that chapter 40 on through the end of the book of Ezekiel is actually describing the heavenly temple that's going to be remade at the end of time. And yet, I think there's an application here where we see the temple of God desperately needs God's presence in order for it to have any value. And that's why whenever you see Jesus show up in the temple in the book of John, pay close attention, because something very specific and very special is about to happen. It's also why the first three of his I am statements are made in and around festival times and temple. And the temple itself. He says, I am the bread, I am the light, and I am the door, all around the concept of he is in the temple, around this worship place. And each one of those is followed by a call to repent and trust in the Lord. Because if he is the bread, you need to repent, trust in him, and follow after him so that he can sustain you. If he is the light, then you need to trust and follow after him so you can see and recognize truth. If he is the door, then he is the only way into safety and pasture, and he's the only one that can keep you protected, because he is the door by which you enter and exit the sheepfold, and he is the one that identifies you as belonging to the sheep. This is why it's so important for us to understand that without Christ in our religious systems, we have nothing. No matter how good a person you are, no matter how much work you have, no matter how much productivity your church does, no matter how many programs you have that benefit the community, if they don't have Jesus Christ living and active in them, changing the lives of the people who live in them, then you have nothing. There's nothing there for anyone. No one would actually be able to benefit from your programming. Your programming would be worthless. This is why it's so helpful to understand this narrative flow of the book of Ezekiel before you dive into the Gospel of John. Because in the Gospel of John, we recognize that Jesus Christ has come. He is our shepherd. He is the bread. He is the light. He is the door. He is the way by which we commune with God and with which we connect to God. And all of our religious activity amounts to nothing without him. So the question we should ask ourselves is always, does our church, do our programs exalt Jesus Christ? Is he at the center of them? Or are we just spinning our wheels to be religiously active? Thanks for joining me in the Deep End. Now go get to work.